You guys want to do a little bit of Dish stuff? Talk a little Dish? All right, let's talk a little Dish Wireless. All right, let's start first with the network announcement. The 5G build for Dish is ongoing. We're going to see a greenfield 5G network from Dish Wireless, Charlie Ergen, Spectrum squatting. We know the whole story. But the 5G build is ongoing. Tons of permits are happening. All right, they're getting approved. The work is getting completed. Carlos is seeing it in Vegas. Mobile Master Therald is seeing it in Ocala and other parts of Florida. Specifically, Orlando, Florida. The first site has been officially completed in the city of Mickey and them. Many permits have been processed and ready to go, and the work is getting done. So we've got these ongoing network and market builds. Mostly it's going to be markets with NFL teams. Looks like they'll get them ready to go for when the NFL season starts. I think market number 1 is Las Vegas, Nevada, so we'll be seeing that, and I'm sure Carlos will be first dibs on that. And then we're also seeing some random builds in like Royal America, so we'll see how it goes. They've got Spectrum licenses national all over the place. They've got to get 70% of the U.S. population covered over the course of the next 2 or so years. Remember, they're going to be an Open RAN structured network, completely cloud-based. This is Greenfield 5G. There's no 4G LTE backbone. They're going to leave the 4G LTE stuff to Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. They're going to be in an access agreement for LTE with T-Mobile for now. I don't think it's going to last very long, personally. Be on the lookout for that. But, they've got this cloud agreement with AWS, Amazon Web Services. They've got deals with Mavenir. Fujitsu's putting up all the radio gear, all the antenna technologies. Fully virtualized, right? So it's going to be a unique network that we've never seen before. And eventually all carriers will go this route as well. But hashtag Project Genesis, the name of the 5G networking from Dish. Signups are live. You can go to the Project Genesis website. They put you on an email list, and when something happens in your area, they'll reach out to you and let you know. Dish wants to spend $10 billion to build out a national network. That's not going to happen. You can't spend $10 billion over 10 years or $10 billion over 7 years and build a national 5G network. That won't happen. But it's a start. They're going to need partnerships. They're going to need to generate revenue. I think 5 years from now, that number is going to double. So by like year 4, year 5, I think they're going to exceed 10 billion. They're going to approach 20 billion. And that's going to be with some partnerships. They're going to have some money coming in. And they'll be profitable, right? They're going to do some unique things. They're going to innovate, I think, most likely more than AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Because, again, they're not strapped down to the old carrier ways. They can do something different. I think the potential for Dish Wireless is there. They have a lot of spectrum relative to where their market share position should likely be. Do I think that Dish is going to have more than 20 million customers in 5 years? That's probably the most that they'll be. I don't think they'll have more than 30 million customers for a while. Because, again, most people still think Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. Like, that's mind share. But, I mean, they're going to have a lot of spectrum relative to their market position. So they have 600 megahertz, which is going to be N71. That'll be national. They're going to have 700 megahertz. I think that's regional. They've got 800 megahertz from Sprint. That's national, but it's not much. They have a little bit of flexibility with 3 different low-band spectrum licenses. And it's mostly national with the exception of the regional access for the N12, right? The 700 megahertz. Also, they have a lot of AWS. In my opinion, this is the game-changing stuff. And this is going to be where I think a lot of the capacity on the Dish network is going to be nationally. They have licenses for dedicated uplink on AWS. they will have the best uplink potential because it's going to be a standalone 5G network with a lot of spectrum on the uplink side. In my estimation, I think the best uplink experience, so video calling, Zoom meetings, content upload, high resolution stuff like that, that's going to be Dish's calling card. They've got paired AWS. They've got AWS 3, AWS 4. That's where the Dish network is going to shine. Through N66 or it's going to be N70 or something like. I don't know how they're going to have the banding done, but 2.1 gigahertz is a solid low mid band. Verizon does a lot with band 66. T-Mobile does a lot with band 66. There's a lot of capacity. High resolution video became a thing during LTE and advanced LTE because of band 66. So it's going to be huge for what Dish does. And then they still have 10 to 20 megahertz of CBRS national. If that gets a higher power, if that gets boosted, then that becomes a legitimate capacity layer too. And they can actually probably monetize the CBRS even better. You know, I think so too. Honestly, Running Flame, I think they do. I think they do get it back. I think they're going to win that. The FCC made a huge mistake. They're going to lose. Jay, good to see you. Alexis says Dish will innovate more than the others combined. I totally agree. I don't think T-Mobile has the wherewithal to innovate in technology. They innovate customer service. They innovated pricing. They innovated value. They innovated perks in T-Mobile Tuesday. Customer retention has gotten better for them, but it was always about getting people to switch. The marketing innovation. They're not a technology innovator. Not by a long shot. They don't even like millimeter wave. You know? They don't view it as a serious part of their network. I don't see them as doing... And honestly, I think Verizon a little bit. The reason I say Verizon might innovate is because they're already deeply engaged in conversations for use cases. The 5G robotics, the 5G health labs, you know, the surgical implementations in healthcare. They're at least there on the table. Now, Verizon's not innovating those use cases. Verizon is saying we're going to provide the network as a service. That's not really innovating the marketplace. That's more innovating the service to be offered to people to use it, making it available to them for the use. They're not really. It's not really the use case. Right? AT&T, I'm going to view similar to Verizon, right? So I don't think the traditional carriers will ever truly innovate use cases. They'll just provide the network as a service. That's really all they're going to do. We shall see. You know, I always viewed, you know, Dish's 5G build as having this incredible potential. They've got good spectrum holdings. The Dish network is never going to be congested. If you're thinking about 5G just from the realm of capacity, Dish will have capacity in spades. They'll have latency in spades. They'll have uplink in spades. They'll have network slicing in spades. All that cool stuff they'll have. Use cases, they'll be the ones providing those opportunities. And I think it's going to be like that for probably the next 3 to 5 years. The other carriers will be catching up in the use cases for 5G. Alexis says greenfield innovation is at least a magnitude larger than the entrenched. Facts. So while Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T are providing a network as a service, they're going to be waiting on Dish and other entities to create the use cases. I think in pricing, it'll just be unique to whatever you're going to use the network for. The IoT stuff, the automation. Dish will be a real player there. And it won't be about pricing. It's going to be about use cases. Right? Running Flame says it's very, very hard to undo mistakes from technical decisions you made a decade ago. He's right. Poor execution from 1995, 2005, 2015. Like, look at Verizon, for example. They're trying to undo the mistake from the AWS auction when they only spent $10 billion. They probably needed to spend $15 billion. But Dish got a lot of spectrum in that auction. They shouldn't have allowed that to happen. What has Dish done with the spectrum? Nothing up until now. And Verizon needed it. Their network has been completely densified, and they still have congestion issues across the country. I'll continue to follow Dish. Again, I'm very optimistic about Dish.